Hello, everybody, and you're listening to Nobody's Hearing This. I'm here with Jimmy's cousin, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm on the podcast, then it's possible that nobody is hearing this because I'm one of your loyal listeners.
Oh, no, that's so sad.
But I'll listen to it.
Oh, okay.
I love the sound of my own voice.
Yeah. So, talk about, you've done a couple projects before. What have you done?
So way back in the day, like when you were all just children, I had an online radio show with a friend of mine called Out of Step Radio that ran for, I don't know, like 2 years.
That I was way too young to listen to.
Yeah, it was us trying to be more hardcore than Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Which was very embarrassing to look back on and very...
I was listening to the prank phone calls that you were doing.
Yeah, that's like the only thing we did that is still enjoyable to listen to.
And then you guys also had people call in to like win porn and stuff. Yeah, that was cool.
Oh boy.
That was a bad show.
Yeah, don't look that up.
I don't think it's available anywhere.
Let's just say that in the world we live in, there was things on that show.
It wouldn't prosper.
No, I wouldn't listen to it. And then a few years after that, I did a podcast called the Incompetent Comic Cabal Cast with a few friends that Jimmy was featured on.
Yeah.
And that was still pretty embarrassing, but it had its fun moments.
It had some pretty fun moments.
We got mostly into comic books, but we also reviewed pop culture, TV shows, nerdy stuff like that.
Yeah. And soup snacks. There was a lot of soup snacks. Soup snacks.
There was a lot of inside jokes on that just went off the rails and went crazy.
Yeah. So today I have none of my other hosts because they are lame and don't want to hang out with their good pal Jimmy. So I over Dan's house to possibly work on something else, and that also fell through.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about what our predictions are for the 2019 Oscars, which are technically the 2018 Oscars because they're reviewing movies in 2018.
Yeah, but I believe the awards happen in 2019. So
yeah. I guess they're the 2019 Oscars.
It's a weird gray area. I was pulling up a listicle, and I was like, Dunkirk is not a movie that's coming to the Oscars this year. I was like, something is wrong because I was searching 2018.
Yeah, because that was like October 2017, I think.
Yeah, so...
Oh, yeah, I got to bring up my list of movies.
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm an expert or anything, but I do just want to get right out of the gate just saying that if it wasn't for me, Jimmy would not be into anything cool.
That's true.
I took him under my wing as a small toddler, and I introduced him to all the greats.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Back to the Future.
I believe there was a Ghostbusters or two.
Yeah, my aunt got me into Ghostbusters.
Yeah. The works of Kevin Smith.
Yeah, for sure. And I met Kevin Smith. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. A whole bunch of stuff. So that's why I'm doing this episode with Dan.
Yeah, we're both real into movies.
Yeah.
I want to plug, I am on Letterboxd.
I was actually talking about Letterboxd on the last episode.
Yeah, you could find me under the name Danny Breakdown or Danny_Breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
And that's also what I tweet under.
Once featured on Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, yes. I'm well known amongst the late night comedy world for my one tweet.
Yeah, man. Of course. All right. So I think how we're going to do this is we're going to go by category and we're going to predict what movies might be nominated and what we would like to see won.
Right. And what we've already seen.
Yeah.
Some things, I think I've seen a few things.
Quick little reviews of stuff that we've seen and whatnot.
Yeah. So I have an article that I'm working off of here from Vulture. It's back a little ways from September, but I think most of it still holds up. For Best Picture, they run through early favorites being Black Panther. I'll just list them off and then we can pull out a few.
Yeah, sure.
Black Panther, The Favorite, First Man, If Beale Street Could Talk, A Star Is Born, and Widows.
Okay. I've seen 2 of those.
I've seen Black Panther, First Man, and A Star Is Born.
Yeah, I haven't seen A Star Is Born. Really, that for Best Picture? It was that good?
We have to get into something here.
Okay.
I was listening to your last episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where a reference was dropped, including your cousin, who's a 31-year-old man, crying to A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
And I just want to be on the record as saying that is 100% true.
Awesome.
However, to clarify, I didn't cry to A Star Is Born.
Okay.
I wept and sobbed uncontrollably. Full body shakes.
Oh my gosh.
Just imagine an overweight 31-year-old man with full sleeve tattoos sitting next to you in a crowded movie theater, sobbing, just shaking in his chair, just body quivers.
That's awesome.
I hate Lady Gaga in real life, but I loved her, and I now want to buy all her albums.
Oh, wow, that far, huh?
I want to put my claw up in the air and be referred to as one of her little monsters.
Wow.
It had a profound effect on me. I know that it's schlocky and
yeah. Well, have you seen the originals?
I haven't, and I think that's why I liked it so much.
Because it was all brand new story,
exactly.
Right?
And I went into it completely like not knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
I was just open to it. I just let the feels wash over me.
You know, I never saw the originals, and I totally forgot that they existed until people were like, oh, did you see like the Barbra Streisand one? I was like, oh, I forgot that's like a thing that already existed.
Yeah, so I am an avid listener of a podcast called Fighting in the War Room. Mm-hmm. It's a film and TV review podcast that I encourage you all to check out.
That is a good show.
Way more qualified than us.
Yeah.
They write for major publications, but they did an episode where they sort of rehashed some of the earlier ones, and I stayed away from it until I had seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because, like I said, like it's definitely like very soap opera-y. Like, I don't know what you want to call it, like contrived, like it's just like Hollywood, like they know what they're going for with this movie. Sure.
It's like all the ABC movies that like you're going to cry through the entire thing of.
Right. It's like one step above a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie.
Oh yeah, I know. Those are real bad.
But I didn't care because this had enough like good performances in it. Yeah,
and directed by Bradley Cooper too, which I don't think has done a lot of directing, right?
I believe this is his directorial debut.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, but oh yeah, I mean, I'm on record with people who know me as a big movie crier. I think
I am too.
If you're a movie fan and you're gonna love movies so much that you get sucked into and absorbed by them,
yeah,
you have to be emotionally affected, or else why are you just like sitting there like waiting to check your phone again? Like,
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, there's a few key moments in movie history that I will just break down for.
I'm bad with movies, but I'm 100% way worse with Broadway plays. I will cry through an entire Broadway play.
Yeah.
Just because of like I don't think it doesn't really have anything to do with the story, but it's like the performance and like the being there and like being in the moment.
Musicals only, or also like dramatic plays?
I will do dramatic plays as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real weird.
Because first I was thinking, the first thing that came to mind was Maron. When you listen to WTF, he always talks about how...
He's the same way, too, yeah.
Especially, like, musicals really get to him.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, A Star Is Born worked for me. And then...
First Man, that's something that we both saw. And I think we have some differing opinions on that. I liked it way more than you liked it.
Yeah, I liked certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it I feel like was harmed by the fact that I saw it the day after I saw A Star Is Born.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it had a lot to live up to me in like the best picture category.
Yeah.
But yeah, like without getting spoilery, the stuff that I loved about it was everything like on the
space.
rocket.
Yeah, it was the whole space aspect.
Yeah, and like the problem solving, the anxiety that they built up.
Yeah.
I thought that was really like powerful and worked really well.
And it just goes to show like how like crappy of a spacecraft it was. And it's amazing the fact that they actually, spoiler alert, they make it to the moon.
Yeah.
But obviously you know that. But just like the everything shaking and looking at like the nuts and bolts, like the extreme that entire movie is just extreme close up the movie.
Yeah, and handheld stuff, which was like making me seasick at moments.
Yeah, especially
out of focus and stuff.
Yeah, the super close ups. But yeah, just like looking at the nuts and bolts of the spaceship while Ryan Gosling sitting in the captain's chair or whatever. Just looking. The little window too that they can look out too. That was
basically
really cool.
Like a porthole.
Yeah.
And I can even appreciate what they were doing with the at-home stuff.
Yeah.
Where it was to show you that this guy, and as an extension his wife, are bottling up everything.
Yeah.
And he's containing all these fears and anxieties and emotions and hope and grief. And he's just forcing it down inside of himself so he can accomplish a goal. That's cool to me. The problem is it didn't make a great movie.
Yeah.
Like, how long can I watch Ryan Gosling and Claire Foy stare off into space?
Yeah, just like blank emotionless like faces the entire movie. That was my biggest problem with the movie too.
Yeah, like the first 10 minutes of that, I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. This is cool.
Yeah.
After 40 minutes of that, I was like, okay, I want to go watch a TV show about people making knives.
Yeah. Oh no, not those. But yeah, just that movie basically became about them, and I can see why, but I think maybe if they took a look at just the mission of like getting to the moon, it would have been an entirely different movie.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say. Like, I respect it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah. Also, the soundtrack I thought was really good too.
Yeah, that was cool.
What was his name? The same dude who does all of his movies.
Yeah. All I could think of is Damien Chazelle, but that's the director.
Yeah.
Black Panther. We both saw that, I think.
Yeah. Not Best Picture nominee.
I liked it. I was actually pretty high on it compared to like you, I think, and most of our friends. Like,
yeah.
It's one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has the depth for a Best Picture.
I don't think it was the best Marvel movie of the year. I thought, I mean, as a movie, maybe it stands out a little bit more than Infinity War.
See, I disagree. I mean, you are kind of saying that it stands out more than Infinity War.
Yeah.
But I think it stands out way more than Infinity War.
Okay.
I liked Infinity War, but I liked it as a piece of a puzzle.
As a comic book movie.
And as a piece of like, okay, this is the summation of what we've been building towards.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought it was really skillful how they included everyone. And,
oh, yeah, yeah.
But I think as a time at the movies, I enjoyed my time seeing Black Panther more.
Really? That's interesting.
I just think it told a more concise story. It opened you up to a whole new world that we haven't been exposed to. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big Black Panther comic book guy, so it was all fresh for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like the performances. I thought it had a better villain. I mean, Thanos was really good too, but to me, the Marvel movies have a huge problem with like weak villains. Mm-hmm. And I thought like Warmonger was one of the strongest villains they've had.
Yeah. My problem with it is that the villain was better than the hero in that movie.
I could see that complaint.
Yeah, just the fact that he had a more like sound reasoning for why he wants to basically take over Wakanda.
Yeah.
What was it? Just the segregation and whatnot. And
right. Well, his point was that like you guys are living this like black paradise here, and in the rest of the world, black people are struggling.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're not like doing anything to make that better.
Yeah. And I thought that was really good and really timely.
So then they give some like also in the running like honorable mention type category. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to read all these, but I'll throw out a couple that I've seen or that I've heard about. Or Beautiful Boy.
I want to see that. You saw it, right?
Yeah, I just recently saw that. Steve Carell, Timothy Chalamet. Mm-hmm. This was another one where I kind of I really liked. I liked it as like an exercise of a movie. Mm-hmm. Like in other words, there's been a million like drug addiction movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're very formulaic. It's sort of like, oh, here's a good kid. He falls in with a bad crowd, tries drugs, gets super addicted, bottoms out, and then he like gets better. And this one did not follow that formula. And I don't want to give it away, but just to give you an idea, I heard an interview with the real father and son on NPR.
Oh, okay, it's based off a true story. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And they're both writers, and they each wrote an autobiography. And this movie takes bits
Combines
from both of those.
Both of them, yeah.
And their whole sort of point in their public message was to tell people that that's not how addiction works. You're not super addicted to a drug and then hit bottom and recover and you're fine. You're back to normal again.
Yep.
Like recovery is about a series of like, relapses and recovery, relapse and recovery. Mm-hmm. And it's about stretching out the distance between the relapses. And then when you do relapse, minimizing that amount of time before you get back on the wagon.
Oh, that's an interesting take on it.
So the movie hit this sort of stride of like echoes.
Yeah.
So there was like moments that sort of reoccurred where, he was relapsing and different ways that the father tried to deal with him, and he was learning about how to deal with addiction. And so I really liked that, but kind of a similar problem I had with First Man is I sat there going, wow, I really respect what you're doing as like a filmmakers, but I didn't find it super enjoyable because It's a problem, not to get ahead of myself, but like we kind of had with mid-90s where when something becomes so much of a slice of life, does it have a story anymore?
Yeah, there's no beginning, middle, and ends.
Right.
There's no like character arcs.
Yeah, you don't see someone go through a fundamental change and come out the other side different.
Yeah. I forgot a bit about mid-90s. That was good too.
Yeah. Black Klansman.
I haven't seen that either.
I saw that one. Really liked it. Really liked what it had to say. Thought it was really timely. But I don't know that it's going to hold up over time.
Really?
It feels like a movie that needed to be made now and said what it had to say.
But yeah,
it's not going to
go.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like when you rewatch that in 5-10 years, you're going to see a lot of flaws that you were willing to look past because it was so important.
Yeah. It's like, what was that? Django Unchained too. It's kind of like, sort of like that, where it's not really talked about anymore.
And that's kind of like a great example because I wasn't on that first wave of people who saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
I missed it at the theaters and even like the original home release.
Yeah. And
I caught it like a couple years down the line and I was like...
You were excited for that movie. I'm surprised you didn't see that.
I just was out of sort of touch with going to the movies at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the time I did catch up on it, I was like, is this really what everyone's been talking about? Like,
yeah, it just wasn't like as crazy as you thought it was going to be, or it didn't really touch what you thought it was going to touch.
Yeah. They mentioned The Favorite in here. They actually put that in the favorites category and also in the running, which is odd, but
The Favorites?
The Favorite is the new, what is his name? Yorgos Lanthimos, I believe is his name. He's the Greek director who made The Lobster.
Oh, that guy.
And Killing of a Sacred Deer.
You always say that, and I always forget who it is until you explain that he made those two movies.
And I always want to call him by the wrong, very stereotypically Greek-sounding name. Oh. Like, I don't even know. It's different every time, but it's like Papagianomos or something. Oh. But yeah, I just looked it up, and it is Yorgos Lanthimos.
Okay.
I really like him. He's really quirky and weird. The Favorite is not out widely yet. I think it might have opened in like a few cities.
Yeah,
but I'm looking forward to that. That's
his movies usually have like festival releases too.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people have already seen it.
Yeah. First Reformed. Did you catch that one?
Nope.
So that is a movie that was written and directed by. This is killing me because I'm so bad with names. It is the guy who wrote Taxi Driver.
Oh, okay.
Paul Schrader. I just remembered it.
Yeah.
So he wrote and directed this film, and it's starring Ethan Hawke.
Oh, okay.
I love this movie. I would be super happy if this won Best Picture.
Yeah.
No one cared about it, but me and 5 other people.
Yeah. That sounds like a good combination.
Yeah, it's got good pedigree.
I think you talked to me about that.
So Ethan Hawke plays a Lutheran pastor at a church that is basically only open because it's a historical landmark. Like, nobody goes there. Their congregation is like 5 people.
Okay.
And the movie finds him in the middle of a crisis of conscience. Basically, like, one of his parishioners comes to him and basically posits, like, or presents the idea of, like, if we love God, why are we destroying the earth?
Okay.
So it's got this sort of backbone of like
environmentalist.
Yeah, right. Environmental like struggle and stuff like that. And it's him coming to terms with like, how can we love God if we destroy his creation?
Oh, that's interesting.
And it also has these very Taxi Driver-esque like moments of like a man coming unhinged. Okay. And feeling like he has to do something to right the world.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want to give anything away, but Ethan Hawke was awesome in it. Okay. The movie takes a crazy twist, like a third of the way in that you don't expect.
Like Taxi Driver does.
Yeah, and the ending is just bonkers. Like, it's fundamentally like a super realistic, like moody, dark movie, but at the end, it goes a little bit existential, and I just loved it. Yeah,
it doesn't seem like unrealistic and just like too off the wall, kind of like did you see what's the name of that movie? It's in my Letterboxd. Oh, Sorry to Bother You, where it just went like way out of the left field.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard I've heard that. This does go pretty weird, but it's contained to like 2 scenes. And the good thing is he's sort of on a descent of becoming like unhinged. Okay. and these two weird scenes are like in his POV.
Mm-hmm.
So it's questionable how much of it is reality and how much of it is interpretation because of his viewpoint.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
First Reform. That's what I mentioned. Green Book, haven't seen, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that
I don't think it's out wide yet.
No, it's not. What's the premise of that one again?
That is the first drama by Peter Farrelly.
Yep.
It's starring Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Leave No Trace. I love that movie too.
I don't even know what that one is.
I believe it's based on a true story, but it's about a father and daughter. The father is an Iraq war vet.
Okay.
And he's come home with severe PTSD, but they don't really get into why, but he's raising his daughter alone, and he cannot survive in society anymore. So they live in a huge state forest in Washington State.
Oh, okay.
And they're basically on the run because you're not allowed to live there.
Yeah.
So, and it's just like him coming to terms with the fact that his daughter is hitting like her preteens, like puberty age. And, that's already a difficult time to be raising a child, a daughter as a single father. But add to the fact that she's starting to be exposed to the greater world and realize she may not want to just live alone in a forest like cavemen. Okay.
Yeah, they're just kind of segregated off, living their own life.
Oh, fully. Like, they're in the woods.
Gotcha.
There we go.
You're on that indie movie kick. You're getting that insider shit.
Dude, Movie Pass hit me real hard, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I was seeing, like, everything.
Yeah.
And again, like, shout out to Fighting in the War Room. Like, I would not have heard of any of these movies
if it wasn't for that.
And they became some of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah.
Some other, like, little honorable mentions here before we move on to the next category. Mary Poppins Returns.
I don't see that getting Best Picture, but, I mean, Disney, you never know. Maybe
they can squeak out something weird. Yeah. I think it's going to be a really fun, feel-good movie. I love that, what's his name?
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Is attached to it.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Mary, Queen of Scots. There's not a lot of info out about that. I feel like that's not even coming out in time. I guess it is, but I thought it was late.
I don't even know what that is.
That is the true story of Mary, Queen of Scots. It was a time in like England where there was a question as to who was going to sit the throne.
Okay.
And it's got Saoirse Ronan as Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yeah.
And I forget her name. Who's the Australian actress who played Harley Quinn?
Oh, Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Margot Robbie as
she's Australian.
Elizabeth.
I didn't know that.
She is, yeah.
That's cool. Makes her more attractive.
There's a few other here that I've heard of. The two that actually the one other one that they mention here that I'm really interested in is Roma.
Okay.
Have you heard of this one?
No.
It took huge rave reviews at Cannes, I believe. It's Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah.
Who's made a couple big movies. He won an Oscar for
he did Birdman.
Did he?
I think so.
I'm not sure. He won an Oscar for the space movie with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, Gravity.
Oh, yeah. Who am I thinking of that did Birdman?
I'm not sure.
Let me look that up real quick.
But so this movie Roma is like a super personal story for him.
That's Alejandro Inarritu.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Roma is a foreign language film set in Mexico. It has to do with Mexican migrant workers.
Mm-hmm.
It's shot in black and white. And the weird thing is it got picked up by Netflix.
Oh, okay.
It earned rave reviews at Venice, not Cannes. I was wrong about that.
Oh, okay.
But Netflix picked it up, and supposedly it was supposed to only open on like 4 screens in the country.
Yeah.
But Netflix, I believe, just announced that they're rolling it out to a wider release, but we don't really know how wide.
That's cool.
But everyone is saying that you should see it on a big screen because it's like an old Hollywood epic.
Yeah.
It's a big black and white, beautifully shot Mexican film.
That's cool.
In Spanish. I shouldn't say Mexican. That's not a language, but
you know what I just remembered for black and white movies. Remember that movie that Louis C.K. was working on?
Yeah.
Before the whole controversy came on. What came of that movie? Did it ever get released or?
I don't think it did. I think they shut it down.
Yeah, that sucks because it looked really good.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be starring Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. You know, one that's not on this list that I was really disappointed. I mean, this could be because it's an older article.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to see Suspiria.
Oh,
on
yeah.
That list.
Yeah, you were really into that.
Oh, man, I loved Suspiria.
I still got to see that probably next weekend.
Yeah, that was just such a crazy movie. Like, I never saw the original, but
you were just saying that it was like really well executed, basically.
Yeah, it was just like how can I describe it? Like, he just wanted to teach a class on like tone.
Oh, really?
That movie, you could feel it. It was like vibrating off the screen, and it just like affected you.
There's a lot of good horror movies like that. Like, what is it? Hereditary. Like, you can feel that movie too, I think.
Right, yeah. And that's not on that list either, but that was a powerful movie. Yeah. I think that might come up in Best Actress talk for Toni Collette.
Yeah.
But Suspiria was done by what's his name? The guy from Call Me by Your Name, Luca Guadagnino.
Oh, okay.
Who Call Me by Your Name was my favorite movie of last year.
It's fantastic.
So I was like psyched to see his take on a horror movie, and oh man, it delivered.
It was really good.
Tilda Swinton was crazy.
Oh yeah, I forgot she's in that.
Yeah, it was great. And their first movie together, or maybe not their first, but I don't know if I've seen all of his movies, but he did a bigger splash with her and Ralph Fiennes and Dakota Johnson.
Oh yeah,
like a few years before Call Me by Your Name, and I loved that movie.
Oh, that's cool.
But did you want to talk about Best Director now?
Sure. Who's on the list?
So the early favorites are listed as Damien Chazelle for First Man.
Yep.
Alfonso Cuarón, I'm not sure how I pronounce that, for Roma.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Jenkins for If Beale Street Could Talk. Spike Lee for Black Klansman, and Steve McQueen for Widows.
Okay. I mean, we don't really know anything about Widows yet because we haven't seen it because it's not out yet.
And that doesn't sound like my type of movie, but so many people I know
are talking about it.
Are saying that it's good. I wanted to throw in a couple of the also in the running because I think they're probably more likely than this list gives them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Namely Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Then they also talk about some of the ones we mentioned earlier. Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite. Mariel Heller for Can You Ever Forgive Me? That's getting talked about a lot. The Melissa McCarthy movie.
Oh, that does look kind of interesting.
Yeah, I hate her.
Yeah.
But I do kind of want to see this movie. Everyone's saying
they've been
her
talking about
really
it for
good.
like almost a year. Like I remember at least like early this summer, they've been showing previews in it because that's when the movie passing was happening.
Yeah.
Every theater I was seeing, every movie I was going to see, they were plugging that movie.
Yeah, I think that's been on the circuit, like the festival circuit for a while now.
Yeah.
But out of these ones, I mean, we talked a pretty good amount about First Man.
Yeah. I think if he does get nominated, he might get it just because of his past of just like doing really good stuff with like La La Land and what was the one before that?
Whiplash.
Yeah.
I think that
and I thought the direction was very good in that movie. I mean, it wasn't necessarily like to our liking, but I thought it was directed very well.
It definitely had more of a like an artist's hand to it than some of his other movies.
Yeah.
I think that with this category, you got to talk about storylines.
Yeah.
And I think the Bradley Cooper first directorial debut thing.
I can see that. Yeah, he's probably going to get nominated.
Yeah. I liked his performance more than Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
But I think that he might get the director nod instead.
Yeah, that'd be good. Good for him.
Yeah. I'm really excited about If Beale Street Could Talk, the one that they're talking about Barry Jenkins for.
Yeah, that looks good.
He did Moonlight last year or the year before last. I don't remember.
That's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Moonlight?
I actually saw that way before other people were talking about it, and I had no idea it was going to be such a big movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I caught it later, and I loved it, and
I did. We were talking about it, I think, on the last episode where Cooper and I went to go see that and The Handmaiden. And it was both movies about like homosexuality.
Yeah.
And I was like, Cooper, are you trying to tell me something?
Yeah, that's funny. Accidental date time.
Yeah.
There's some far shots in here too, long shots in here that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Some interesting ones, especially that I think you'll have something to say is Bo Burnham for 8th grade.
Oh yeah. I'd be interested in him. I mean, that movie wasn't fantastic, but I thought it was really good and definitely a good directorial debut.
Yeah.
Especially for a coming of age story.
Do you think that the directing was more impressive though, or the writing? Because for me, I think the writing was more interesting.
Yeah, the writing was more interesting. I don't think there was anything fantastic about direction. I mean, the kids were really good in that movie, but that's also acting.
But I mean, I guess I could see it from the viewpoint of like what you said, like he got great performances out of his actors.
Yeah.
And overall, like the storytelling was strong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was like shot very special, anything special.
Yeah, but that's like cinematography.
And the other interesting long shot on here, which I thought was kind of cool, was Orson Welles for The Other Side of the Wind, which
I never even heard of that.
Well, Orson Welles is dead.
Yeah.
I believe this is his like found movie. Like
weird.
I think it's like a long lost movie that didn't air.
That's interesting.
Let me Google that before I just talk out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure that was like a lost movie that just got dug up from somewhere.
So should that win for 2019 Oscars though?
Well, that's the question. I mean, if it was as powerful as they say,
that's really weird.
Huh. I'm not seeing what I thought I would. It says that it's an American experimental film directed, co-written, and produced by Orson Welles. It was released in 2018 after 40 years in development. So maybe we're both wrong and Orson Welles is not dead. No, he is dead. He died in 1985. We don't know enough about this topic to comment on it.
No idea.
But it just jumped out at me and I was like, I wonder if Jimmy knows anything about this.
Nothing. I have no idea about that. That's really weird.
Do you want to move on to Best Actor?
Sure. Also, before we get to that, I'm surprised there's nothing about Isle of Dogs anywhere. Wes Anderson, that's a big name that usually gets thrown out there for Best Director.
I think that's getting sort of killed by all the cultural appropriation talk.
I guess so.
I have a very strong feeling the Oscars are going to be super progressive and political this year.
Yeah, because of the past couple of years. Yeah. Hashtag Oscars so white.
Yeah, and it's been building like through the other award ceremonies.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I kind of felt that. Like I enjoyed the movie.
I liked the movie a lot.
But I guess the only way it could be nominated would be for Best Director.
Or maybe cinematography. I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's even technically cinematography.
Yeah. Do they have an animation category anymore?
Yeah, I think short though. I don't think there's.
Okay.
I don't remember. I haven't actually watched the Oscars in a long time. I watched a little bit of last year, but that was because I really wanted Lady Bird to win anything, and it won nothing.
Yeah. She won one for writing.
Did she?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Best Actor, they have Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born.
Okay.
Ryan Gosling for First Man. Ethan Hawke for First Reformed. Robert Redford for The Old Man and the Gun. And then they have a couple honorable mentions. Mahershala Ali, we talked about, for Green Book.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Carell for Beautiful Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas Hedges for Boy Erased, which I really want to see that. That looks good.
Really good.
Hugh Jackman for The Front Runner, which from what I've heard is pure Oscar bait.
Really?
Like a few reviews I've heard were like, I don't really like this movie that much, but Hugh Jackman is amazing in it.
Oh, that's interesting.
And a couple people I've heard reference, like Joanna Robinson from Vanity Fair, I believe, was talking about, she does a podcast called Little Gold Men that really focuses on the Oscar race. And she was saying, if you want to talk about like storylines to give people Oscars, like Hugh Jackman, this may be his chance to say like, oh, just give him an Oscar already.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's been in like so many big things. were close or talked about, but didn't go all the way.
I'm surprised Logan, even though it is a comic book movie, didn't really get anything, like any nominations or anything for the Oscars.
I think there was a little push for them to get like Best Picture or Best Director, but it's going to be really hard to win over the Academy with a comic book movie.
Yeah, I know. Logan was so good, though. I wanted to ask you, how good was Steve Carell in that movie?
So he was really good. I thought he got overshadowed by Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, who's a really good actor.
Yeah, he's awesome. The other problem that I slightly had, which I think I've heard a couple other people have too, I really tried to go into it with an open mind because I've liked some of the dramatic work that Steve Carell has done.
Yeah.
But there's a few moments in this movie where I was like, that's Michael Scott.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments where he was like exasperated and he was yelling, and all I could think about was that moment that's very frequently GIFed, where he's like, no.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And the other weird thing about this was that Steve Carell's character's wife, well, technically ex-wife in this film, was played by the actress who played Holly from The Office.
I saw that and I was like, I wouldn't be able to like disconnect from The Office at all.
So I think I said something in my Letterboxd review. I'm sure a million people have made this joke, but I was like, I was so sad to see that Michael and Holly's son grew up to become a drug addict.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised there's no nods to White Boy Rick at all, because we really like that movie.
Yeah, I think that the general consensus was that it was a little too dumb for the Oscars.
Yeah, I could see that.
I liked it, and I thought it was really good and fun, and it reminded me a lot of Blow, which I think Blow did get a lot of Oscar buzz, the Johnny Depp movie.
Yeah.
But, it was kind of fun and stylish.
Especially for first-time actor Richie Merritt as well. He was really good in that movie, too, for a first-time actor.
Yeah, and he was the main character, right?
Yeah,
and he like came out of nowhere. I had heard a story that they just like found him in a high school in Detroit.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And Matthew McConaughey was like, he doesn't need to act because that's him.
Yeah,
Not like the crimes, but like the attitude and the swagger that he had and stuff.
Yeah.
Lucas Hedges, I really want to see that Boy Erased. That's the gay conversion therapy movie with Russell Crowe. Mm-hmm. That's getting a lot of buzz.
That looks really good, and apparently he's just in every A24 movie now. Because he was in Lady Bird, he was in Mid-90s. I think he was in a couple others too.
Well, he's just also been killing it on like the Oscar buzz scene too, because he was in Manchester by the Sea, which won some stuff a few years ago.
Yeah.
What else did I see him in recently? He was in something.
Mid-90s.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I said that.
I forgot that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
And he's got this one coming up. I really like Lucas Hedges.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I'm glad that he's like the front runner in this movie.
I think he's got a pretty big movie coming out. It might be after the new year. Maybe that's not why it's not showing up on anything. But with Julia Roberts, called something like know. Ben's Coming Home or something like that.
No, I haven't heard anything about that one.
They talk about Rami Malek as possibility for Best Actor for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, as
he was in Mr. Robot.
Yeah,
he played Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
I still haven't seen that, so
I haven't either.
I've heard it's good, but
it depends on who you ask.
I've been hearing mixed things. The general audience has been really liking it, but the critics haven't been loving it.
There also seems to be a pretty significant age divide. So, like,
oh, really? Yeah.
Everyone our age or around our age or younger has been like, it's not that great of a movie.
Yeah.
And everyone my parents' age are like, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm hearing the opposite because I'm around a lot of more like musical people. Like all my friends on Facebook are like people I was in chamber singers with, or like the theater kids at WestCon and stuff like that. So
see, I'm like a music guy. I play instruments. I've been in bands and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I like Queen a lot, but to me, I lose a little respect for this movie because
I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're not doing their own music.
Yeah,
Rami Malek's not singing, or he claims he's singing, but even he admits that it's like buried in the mix. Yeah,
they're just overdubbing it with the actual track.
And I could just listen to a Queen
And
album.
they can do it well too, where they mix it to like what was that Beach Boys movie that did it really well too?
Oh yeah, God Only Knows. Or
no, that's my movie.
Oh yeah, my bad. It's another one of the Beach Boys songs.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but
I have it. It's somewhere on my shelf, but I can't see it. Anyways, I know exactly what you're talking about. Paul Dano.
Yeah. That was a really good movie.
Yeah, that was a combination. That was kind of funny that like anytime there was like professional performances, it was actual Beach Boys music. Mm-hmm. But any like in studio behind the scenes moments or like songwriting moments, that was the actors. Paul Dano and
they were mixing in. I think even in the big performances, they were kind of mixing in like their actual vocals too.
Who was the other actor that played Brian Wilson? John Cusack.
Yeah, I was about to say the guy from High Fidelity.
Yeah. So, Best Actress is an interesting category for me.
Yeah.
They mentioned Glenn Close for a film called The Wife that is not getting a lot of talk. I mean, I've heard her name come up in the Oscar race, but the storyline with her tends to be like what I said kind of about Hugh Jackman, which is like, oh my gosh, Glenn Close hasn't won a Best Actress award yet. We should just give her one. Viola Davis for Widows.
Okay, hasn't come out yet, so we don't know.
Yeah, that's an odd one for me because it seems like a Taken ripoff, but everyone's saying that it's really good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born.
I could see that.
I think her performance was a little, I don't want to say weak, but it wasn't as, there was like really high points where I was like really buying in.
Yeah.
Then there were some weird points where I was like, oh, she's just reciting lines.
Okay, yeah.
I would be totally happy with her winning for Best Song.
Okay, yeah.
And then the movie winning for something else, either Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor.
Yeah, that's definitely going to do very well at the Oscars.
Yeah. Melissa McCarthy for that movie we were talking about, Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yeah.
That's another good storyline. They love to see these sort of like lowbrow comedian, like people step up and do a big dramatic role and knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Also in the running, Yalitza Aparicio for Roma.
Okay.
That's a long shot for me. To me, that movie screams Best Director or Best Picture nominee.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people he cast in it are either very limited credits in like on Mexican TV.
Yeah.
Or they're like first time actors. And he like went into villages and towns and just cast the people that he came across. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Emily Blunt for Mary Poppins Returns.
Okay.
I could see this happening.
I could see that if she does the character very well or puts a new twist on it.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that Julie Andrews won for the original Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I was just pulling it up right here. Her IMDb page. Whatever, it's not going to tell me, but it was at least like in the running if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Felicity Jones for On the Basis of Sex. I'm interested to see that movie.
Never heard of it.
It's about Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, yeah, that does look really good.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird timing, though, because RBG was a big deal this year, the documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like they churned out a real movie or like a dramatic movie at the same time.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting.
But I like Felicity Jones. I thought she's been good in a few things.
Yeah. We were talking about Toni Collette for Hereditary. She's not on that list anywhere.
So she comes up in the long shot category. Anything could happen.
Okay.
Which her performance is crazy over the top.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily great.
I love it, but I like that, like, if you just watch like the highlight reel of the last 10 minutes of that movie, you're like, wow, she's a cartoon character.
Yeah.
But to me, the impressive thing is how she builds to it. Like in a relatively short period of time, like less than a 2-hour movie.
Yeah. She
goes from like, oh, that's a typical normal mom.
Yeah.
To like
batshit crazy.
Yeah, insanity.
Yeah. No Charlize Theron too for Tully. Which I don't think was a fantastic movie, but I like that movie a lot.
Was that this year, though?
Yeah, it's 2018.
Oh, I like that, too. I mean, I could see the twist coming a mile away. Like, I called it in the first 15 minutes of the movie. Yeah. But her performance was really good.
Yeah.
She committed a lot. Natalie Portman is on the long shot list, too, for a movie called Vox Lux that I heard is pretty crazy.
Never even heard of that one either.
She plays sort of like a pop star who's worried about aging out, and from what I hear, she's like a combination of David Bowie and Lady Gaga, like super over the top. Like, I heard it's really good. I think she does her own singing too.
That'd be down. I'd be down to see that.
Best supporting actor.
Okay.
There's not a lot of people on their list. It's kind of funny that their early favorite is just one, Sam Elliott from A Star Is Born.
Oh, really?
And I 100% agree that he should win.
Yeah.
He was really awesome. The part was really good. And even better is, I like Sam Elliott. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, the guy from Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
yeah.
Big Texan guy who talks like this.
Yeah.
He's like a cool character actor, but he's been pretty much one note in like every movie.
Yeah.
And in this one, I was like, oh shit, Sam Elliott
He's
can
actually
emote.
acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently he was in something like either earlier this year or last year. He was in an independent movie where he played like an aging country musician that was supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it, but I was like, this is crazy that this guy has decided he's got to be in his 60s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To basically like commit to deeper roles.
Now.
Yeah. So I think that's like a kind of a cool story.
Yeah, that'd be really cool if he wins that.
They also throw out Timothée Chalamet for Beautiful Boy, Russell Crowe for Boy Erased. Adam Driver for Black Klansman is an interesting one.
Oh, he was in that?
Yeah, I liked the movie and I liked him in it, but he didn't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
He had like way of a lesser part than any of these other guys.
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant from Can You Ever Forgive Me? A lot of people are raving about him.
Yeah, I've heard stuff about that too.
You know, are you familiar with him? He's a character actor. He played the villain in Logan, actually. You know, the British scientist guy?
Yeah.
He's been in a million things.
Yeah.
There's a couple things thrown around for Stephen James from If Beale Street Could Talk. Sam Rockwell for Backseat, which I'm not even familiar with that movie.
He's in like 3 movies this next couple of months. He's coming out. He's in Vice. He's in what's that other movie?
I know he kept popping up in trailers, and you'd be like, "Oh, he's in this?
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell's in this." I heard there's some buzz around him for Vice, and this article doesn't really even mention Christian Bale for Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that movie's not going to be like
phenomenal,
right? But that some of the performances might be interesting.
It's kind of funny how like all these movies are coming out now about like politics and like just basically just turning them up on their head.
Well, this is very cyclical.
Yeah.
And it's like during the Obama years when everything was pretty chill.
Yeah.
People were fine to make movies about like every other subject.
Yeah.
But then like even last year, like what was the Washington Post one?
Oh yeah,
Meryl
with
Streep
Tom
was
Hanks.
nominated for. Yeah, Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. Was it just called The Post?
Yep.
Yeah.
Chappaquiddick came out I think it came out small theaters last year, but it wide release this year.
Sam Rockwell could be an interesting one because if for some reason like he really blew people away with like one of his movies, and it was nominated, if he won, he'd be back to back.
Yeah.
And that has happened.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was in Three Billboards.
Yeah, he won for that.
That was a really good movie.
I wasn't as into that as a lot of people, but
yeah.
Oh, here's a long shot. Matthew McConaughey for White Boy Rick.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Tim Blake Nelson for The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That'd be an interesting one because I don't think that's getting any theatrical release at all. I think that's straight to Netflix. You know what that is, right? The Coen Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
That's their Western that's Netflix.
That does look good.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actor. Okay, what is Backseat? Because this is like the third time it's come up now. Have you heard of it at all?
It sounds really familiar.
They're saying Amy Adams, but that's Sam Rockwell. Amy Adams in Vice. I wonder if Backseat was the original name for Vice.
Oh, maybe.
And that's why because they had Christian Bale for quote unquote Backseat as well.
Oh, so we've been talking about Vice this entire time, but they changed the movie.
It's gotta be. I'm looking it up right now. I just keep seeing Vice. Adam McKay confirms Dick Cheney was always considered. as was Backseat. Yeah, okay. So Backseat was the early name. That makes sense.
That makes a lot
Because I'm
more
like,
sense.
wait, that's too big of a coincidence that these three actors are in another movie. So yeah, Christian Bale was talked about for Best Actor.
Yeah, that would be kind of. I mean, it looks really good. It looks like he's really going full out, and
yeah,
the fact that he gained like 60 pounds or something like that, he looks crazy right now.
And now they're talking about Amy Adams for supporting actress, and she plays Dick Cheney's wife.
Yeah,
I forget her first name, but they're also mentioning Claire Foy for First Man.
Okay.
That's tough because I thought she was really good, but a lot of times when you give a super restrained performance like that,
yeah,
they don't notice it as much.
I mean, that's why they had 20 extreme close-ups so you can take a look at their face while they're quote unquote acting.
All their little ticks and stuff.
Yeah.
She did have that one really big moment, like no spoilers, but she gets into a heated confrontation with one of the NASA like officers or head guys. She like rushes in and confronts him, and there's your 10-second clip that they play like during the nominations. Like,
yeah, exactly that.
But
90% of the movie, she's just standing still, pretending to be happy.
Yeah, literally biting her nails at points.
Yeah.
Olivia Colman for The Favorite. She's been getting a lot of buzz. She's a character actress that's been popping up in a lot of stuff. She's playing the Queen in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And she's also, I believe, going to be playing Queen Elizabeth on the new season of The Crown on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Because they've aged the character up and they need to switch to another actress.
I've heard about that, yeah. Do you watch that show?
I haven't yet. It's on my list.
It looks good.
It gets rave reviews.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Claire Foy. And she's in the first 2 seasons, I believe.
Yeah. No, that's the other show. She does another show. Jenna Louise Coleman from Doctor Who is on another show about basically the same thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of shows about it.
I think that's like a BBC version.
What else they mention here? Nicole Kidman for Boy Erased. Margot Robbie for Mary Queen of Scots. Sissy Spacek for The Old Man and the Gun is interesting.
I don't even know what that movie is. Sounds familiar, though.
Supposedly Robert Redford's last movie.
Oh, yeah. That's why he's getting a lot of buzz. That's
right.
Yeah,
and he plays like a bank robber, like an old man bank robber who wants to retire and stuff.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies that I, like, have no interest in seeing.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, oh, it looks good.
It's like that new Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah, so that's another one that's not on this list at all. But I feel like it's really going to have a strong Oscar push.
I guess I have no interest in it because I don't have any interest in Clint Eastwood. Like, it just looks like he's just old and decrepit. I don't think he's really like acting. I think he's just shaking because he's old and doesn't know how to live.
His last several movies have been the same character. Like, if you want to see the mule, watch Gran Torino. It's probably better.
And he gives the Dirty Harry stare at the end, and it's like, yeah.
It's got Bradley Cooper in that one too. There's actually a lot of big people in that movie.
Yeah, Michael Pena's in it too, I think.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it that they get into here. That's like all the major categories.
Yeah.
They don't get into writer or anything like that, but they have a few questions here that I don't know if you want to skim through these.
Yeah, sure.
They're just like talking about narratives to watch. One of the things they talk about is are the Oscar voters looking to send a message with Best Picture?
Yeah, probably, especially the past couple of years, like with Moonlight winning a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
What was the winner last year? Was it wasn't Call Me by Your Name, was it?
No. I keep thinking that Moonlight was last year, but it wasn't.
No, it's 2 years.
Was it The Shape of Water?
Yes, that's right. It was The Shape of Water, which that was kind of out of the left field too. I didn't see it.
Oh, I loved it, but I was hoping for like Call Me by Your Name, Lady Bird, something a little bit more. I don't know, that explored the depth. Yeah, it was The Shape of Water. I just looked at confirmed that, but
that is right.
So they go on to say that movies like 22nd July, which I'm not really familiar with that.
Never heard of it.
I think that's the one about the terrorist attack.
Oh yeah.
Vice, If Beale Street Could Talk, Black Klansman, Boy Erased, On the Basis of Sex. These are all films that identify with like primarily minority characters.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I could see possibly Vice with the political aspect of it.
Right.
Possibly getting some more nominations just because of that.
Yeah, and then they kind of referenced that a pushback to that narrative could be like, if people are feeling that things are a little too politicized, they may go with a film like A Star Is Born, which is more old Hollywood, melodrama.
Basically La La Land's 3 years ago.
Sort of, yeah. La La Land was interesting to me because I respected that he purposely made that type of movie. Like, he set out to make like an old like Hollywood style like musical. And I guess A Star Is Born sets out to do something too, but it's not that thing. Yeah. It's more of like a melodrama, like an old-fashioned love story with like a tragic end and...
Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say what's tragic about it.
No, it's fine. I think I already know what happens.
The tragic end is that Bradley Cooper is not really that country singer, because I want to live in a world where he is and where he's married to Lady Gaga, who has a different name but is very clearly still Lady Gaga. And just watch their love story play out on a day-to-day basis.
That is the tragic end. That's the true tragic end of A Star Is Born. I knew it.
Then they sort of talk about what counts as an Oscar movie. And they go on to say that, like, last year, Get Out and Lady Bird were hampered by the common sentiment that they were fine movies, but maybe not quite Oscar material.
I totally disagree with Lady Bird.
Yeah. I mean, it was a small movie, but it had depth to it.
It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies. I think that might be up there with possibly my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know if just because of like the context of like the time, or just like the early 2000s. Yeah. Or just like the coming of age aspect of it. It basically came out like, I guess I was already graduated college by then, but just like the high school, like going into college, wanting to be more independent, and just the acting is phenomenal. And
it hit me hard too, because
you actually grew up in that era, went to high school.
I'm a year younger than her character.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So little things about that movie hit me real hard.
Yeah.
I turned to my friend Jeff and I was like, that dude in that party scene is wearing a bucket hat. People used to wear bucket hats regularly.
I remember you telling me specifically about the girl who smokes cloves.
Yeah. We had a friend who smoked exclusively cloves and thought he was super badass for it.
That's awesome.
And some of the things in that movie really hit home.
Yeah.
But then they go on to talk about, like, so if people are debating what's an Oscar movie, like, can Black Panther overcome the Academy's disdain for Marvel movies?
Yeah, I think that might get some Oscar buzz. I don't know if best picture, but maybe some of the smaller categories, like let's see,
supporting actor or something like that.
Yeah, or just like cinematography, not specifically cinematography, but like those tiered, like ones they don't really talk about.
See, I would be interested in seeing, it was Ryan Coogler who did that, I think, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I would be interested in seeing him nominated for Best Director.
Best Director.
Because I think the strongest thing that movie has going for it is, like, world building.
Yeah.
And, like, that's directorial, like, that's decision making.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, just the style and the feel of it was so just cool and new.
Yeah.
Then they talk about, like,
we should probably plug this article. We've been going through this article.
I did mention in the beginning. It's vulture.com.
Oh, okay.
And I will give you the title and the writer.
This entire episode has been exclusively about this article.
Yeah, 100%. We wanted to talk about this, but we wanted something to
base it off of.
Yeah, and give us like a guideline. It's called Summer's Over. Let's talk about the Oscars, frontrunners, favorites, and controversies.
Okay.
And it was written by Nate Jones.
Okay, cool.
So then, I mean, they talked about the Marvel stigma hanging over Black Panther, and then they also talked kind of what we said about will Toni Collette be held back for Best Actress.
Yeah.
Because it's a horror movie. And will Suspiria be left out of the conversation because it's a horror movie?
Yeah. Also, Best Director too, I think should get, at least it's probably not going to win anything, but John Krasinski for A Quiet Place, I think that should get a at least a nod.
Yeah, that movie garners a lot of hatred in people, though.
Really?
Like, a lot of people love it, and then a lot of people really hate it.
Maybe sound and sound design might get a nomination.
It's interesting. It's a new take. I really liked it. I wish they weren't making a sequel. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that entirely.
Like, how do you make a sequel to that? It's so weird.
Yeah.
Then another thing they talk about here is we have another all-male directing slate.
Oh, yeah, that's always a hot topic.
They talk about how diversity has increased, but the gender parity in Best Director is still far behind. The only ones that they really consider a possibility are Josie Rourke for Mary Queen of Scots.
Okay.
Mariel Heller for Will You Ever Forgive Me? Karen Kusama for Destroyer, which we didn't really talk about too much. That's an upcoming Nicole Kidman movie.
Okay.
To me, from what I've heard and what it looks like to me, looks like they're pushing real hard for that to be an Oscar movie, but that it doesn't quite live up to it. She's doing one of those big physical transformation roles.
Yeah, and it just doesn't translate well.
Yeah, it looks really weird.
In her direction.
And then that movie that I love, Leave No Trace, about the father and daughter in the forest, was directed by a woman, Deborah Granick.
Oh, okay. But I'm surprised there's no directorial things for Abby Cohn for I Feel Pretty, featuring Amy Schumer. That was a fantastic film.
According to no one ever.
Yeah, it was real bad. I don't know why I saw it.
You saw that movie?
Yeah, I think I was trying to get with a girl that I was seeing that with, but.
And you were like, "Hey, let's go see this movie, and I'll tell you that you're not fat afterwards."
Yeah.
Here's another funny thing, kind of like what we were talking about with Nicole Kidman, is one narrative to look out for is movie stars uglying themselves up for Oscars.
Oh yeah. So basically, what's his name for Vice?
Christian Bale. Nicole Kidman in Destroyer, we mentioned. Melissa McCarthy is super disheveled looking for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
She looks real bad in that movie.
Actors love to do that shit.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey, notorious for it.
Yeah.
Jared Leto.
Timothy Chalamet gets pretty gross at certain moments of Beautiful Boy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was just watching, I was rewatching Mike Birbiglia's comedy special, one of his newest ones. He was talking about how he was at the Gotham Awards or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was running away because he basically like destroyed this one person on stage. I don't remember who, but he passed by Jared Leto, who was basically doing that role for, I think, Dallas Buyers Club or whatever. Yeah. And he was just like really bad looking, and he was like, that joke made me laugh, or he was just basically saying, I haven't eaten in 20 days, that joke made me laugh my ass off, or something like that.
Yeah, he's big into that.
Yeah,
I remember he did that movie where he played Mark David Chapman. Did you see that?
No, I was interested in that, but I don't know.
Chapter 13, I think.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I feel kind of weird seeing movies about the person that like I don't necessarily agree with. It's kind of like romanticizing them.
Yeah, it depends on the movie. Sometimes I think it's romanticizing them. Sometimes I think it's actually like showing you how weak and fallible and wrong they were.
That's true.
I hear you though. I mean, obviously, like that's a big personal pain for you.
Yeah. I mean, neither of us were alive while John Lennon was alive, but still kind of hurts a little bit.
Hurts deep down in my plums.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of maybe end it off with what's some of your favorite movies that just of 2018.
Oh, this is a tough one. I have a terrible, terrible memory.
I do too. That's why I'm looking at my Letterboxd.
I am as well.
Or maybe just like what do you think is an underrated movie that you really liked and
I like that.
A lot of people didn't talk about it?
Because a lot of my favorite movies were movies that like everyone enjoyed. Mm-hmm. But I'll throw out a couple that I love that didn't get a lot of talk.
Sure.
Hearts Beat Loud. Mm-hmm. I did not see initially, but I just saw the home release.
Okay.
And oh man, I love this movie. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Nope.
It's Nick Offerman.
Oh,
from Parks and
Recreation. Is that the one that Mark Maron was plugging for like a year?
Possibly.
Where he's
he owns a record store. He's a musician.
Yeah, and he's working with his daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's played by Kiersey Clemons.
Yep.
Who you may know from the Netflix series Easy.
Oh yeah.
Do you know the obviously there's only like one episode per year about each character, but
yeah.
The girl who in season 1 is trying to decide if she's gay. She starts a relationship with a girl and sort of transforms her whole life, like becomes a vegan and starts riding a bike.
Yeah.
So she was in this as the daughter, and oh man, this was just like a tight, perfect little movie. Like it just had a nice, concise beginning, middle, end.
Okay.
This is what I want from a movie. Like,
yeah,
I like some like artistic interpretation, but I love movies that are like tight, well written. There's not a lot of like bullshit.
Yeah.
But they have something to say. They tug on your heartstrings maybe, or you know, like there were some awesome moments in this movie, and the music was really good too.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do a movie where the main characters are playing music and writing songs, like they got to be good if they're supposed to be good.
Yeah. Here's one movie that we haven't talked about. A lot of people did really like this. It's not really Oscar material, but Love, Simon was fantastic.
I haven't seen it.
You never saw Love, Simon?
No, I want to.
Oh, I thought you did. It's basically like an 80s like coming of age story, but set in modern times with a boy who's kind of coming to his own gripes with being gay.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I think it just recently was on. I think it just came to HBO. I gotta try to catch it.
Yeah, that was really good. One of my favorite movies of 2018. Let's see what else is in here. Maybe for like a kids movie. I saw Smallfoot. It's pretty good. Not a whole lot to say about it, but I think as a kids movie, you should go bring your kids to see it because I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just looking back through my list as well. Couple things are not really 2018, but I saw them in 2018.
Sure, that works too.
Lean on Pete. I love that movie.
That looks good. I do want to see that.
It's another one of my A24 faves.
Yeah.
About a kid who sort of takes care of and tends on a racehorse who is a little past its prime.
Yeah.
And him coming to terms with his own personal issues and sort of trying to control his life by taking the reins, pun intended.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic.
On the situation with the horse.
Yeah.
What else?
I have another one too. We already kind of talked about it, but you haven't seen it. Sorry to bother you. I thought that was really good up until the turning point, like 7/8 into the movie. I thought it was a really cool, like, kind of a crazy take on like how you feel emotionally and doing, what is it called? Telemarketing. Yeah. It's kind of like a take on like someone's like fallen to craziness or whatever. But I thought the twist at the end, I thought was a little stretching it way too far.
Yeah. I liked American Animals a lot. I wanted to see that. 2018 movie.
Yep.
That was really cool. It was structured really interestingly. Do you know about how that movie was put together?
No.
It's intercut with documentary stuff.
Oh, okay.
So the movie opens up by saying like, this is not based on a true story. This is a true story.
Oh, weird.
And it starts off with like documentary style like interview with the characters the people that the characters are based on.
Yeah.
And then it shows it, and it also plays a lot with perspective and memory.
Okay.
So when two characters in real life, when the two people, when their stories contradict, the film version of that like moment plays out in like weird ways.
Okay.
So like there's a moment where one guy says they were having a conversation in a car, and then when they show it starts in the car.
Yeah.
And then it's interjected by an interview with the other real life guy, and he's like, "No, I wasn't in a car. I was at a party."
Oh, really?
And then immediately the car disappears, and they're at a party, and the conversation continues.
That sounds really cool. I like that.
It's really, really well done, and like super like weird and funny.
Yeah.
It flew by. It's one of those movies where you're like, oh crap, that was like an over 2-hour movie.
And it didn't feel like it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of those too. Just a couple honorable mentions, I guess I'll call them. Christopher Robin really hit me in the feels. I love Winnie the Pooh when I was growing up.
Yeah, I heard that sucked though. I haven't seen it.
I really liked it, but I also grew up on Winnie the Pooh. It wasn't a fantastic movie, but I just liked it because it was Winnie the Pooh, I guess.
Yeah.
That was fun. Surprising. I was surprised by Solo. It was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Same.
Let's see.
Didn't rock my world, but I had a lot of fun. It was like a perfect popcorn flick.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think there wasn't anything else super crazy. Incredibles 2, I expected that to be decent. It was decent.
Yeah.
Ocean's 8, I was disappointed by. I thought it was going to be way better, and it wasn't. I think that was just an overhype because it's basically an all-female cast, and
yeah,
I don't know.
I really wanted to like that because I love Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
And it was fun, like capery, like Ocean's movies. But the thing that made the Ocean's movies cool was you got a real strong vibe for the characters without them having to do a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Like you could tell, like, oh, I know this guy. I get what his motivations are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This movie had none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, like, maybe like 2 of them that they decided to focus on. And it was weird who they decided to focus on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I felt like I knew more about Rihanna's character and who's the other actress?
Sandra Bullock.
Her, yes, but who's the girl from Crazy Rich Asians that has the rap name?
Oh.
Awkwafina.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, okay, I know a little bit about them, but Cate Blanchett was supposed to be like the secondary, like, Sandra Bullock's like right hand man, so to speak. And I have no idea like why she was doing these crimes.
Yeah.
Like what was in it for her or anything. And like, she literally rides off into the sunset at the end of the movie for no reason on a motorcycle.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's basically it. And we saw a couple weeks ago, we saw Sister Brothers in mid-90s.
Yeah.
If you wanted to divulge on those a little bit.
Yeah, so I think we kind of reversed on our opinions on them because I think I liked Sisters Brothers a lot.
Yeah.
And you were not feeling it as much.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
And then I think you liked mid-90s a lot. And I had some major issues with it.
I had some issues with mid-90s, but I like that slice of life stuff. We saw it with your friend Adam, too, and I think he would probably agree with me.
He liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But again, he was part of the mid-90s skate culture.
Yeah.
So for him, it was like watching home movies.
Yeah.
But it just felt a little pretentious to me. And I
don't think it felt pretentious. I think it was very genuine. I think the actors felt very genuine, like fuck shit. Like, he was really good.
I agree. The acting was good.
Yeah,
they felt real. But the only way I could describe it is that Jonah Hill set out to make this movie, did not have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Did not have a beginning, middle, or an end.
Really wanted it to make it feel like the 90s.
Yeah. And then when people were like, yeah, but there's no story to this, he was like, it doesn't have to. It's art. That's what it felt like. It felt like a cop-out.
I could see that.
But, I mean, I'm not basing that on any information. It just felt like why make a movie when I could just film a bunch of people skating and random shit to happen?
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And there was some things I liked that he didn't explore. Like, there was little subplots.
The main character self-harming was a really big, that could have been done really well, and it's just kind of left hanging. Yeah.
And the brother, what was up with the older brother? He had a lot of like weirdness to him that was
just
never
a douche. Yeah.
clarified. The mother character, like, obviously, like, she had some backstory to her that was never explored. Mm-hmm. Even like what you would call like maybe like the primary subplot or like B storyline, which to me was like the dynamic between fuck shit and I forget the other main skater's name.
Yeah, the kid that everybody looked up to.
Yeah, and how he wanted to excel and sort of move beyond their little group.
Yeah.
And like that dichotomy between their friendship.
Yeah. It was almost kind of like they were setting it up for more things, but nothing's going to come of it. I'm assuming not. I mean, unless there's going to be a mid-2000s movie where they...
Weird.
That'd be weird.
I liked Sisters Brothers a lot, though. I thought... I'm a big fan of Westerns, but I loved how it subverted all the Western tropes.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought... I was really expecting more from... What's his name from Step Brothers?
John C. Reilly.
Yeah, I was expecting him to have like a bigger performance, and he just kind of...
He was restrained.
Yeah.
But there was like a really cool sort of like underlying tension in their relationship.
Yeah.
About how, like, I don't want to give anything away, but there was definitely like a push and pull as far as like how involved with like crime and murder they were going to be.
Yeah.
And like... I thought that was a really cool thing that he felt obligated to stand by his brother for reasons that are revealed throughout the movie, but he wanted to pull away.
Yeah.
And it became this question of like, can you move past like this guilt that you have to live a better life?
Yeah.
Or are you stuck in this like cesspool just because you feel guilty about things that happened in the past?
Yeah, that's true.
And that was interesting because they could have just shown that he was sort of stuck doing this stuff with his brother, because like they could have just been like, well, he's my brother and I have to stick with him.
Yeah, they could have been an easy out like that.
But they gave it a little bit more of a backstory and a little bit more depth to explain it.
The backstory was really good. Yeah. I really like the idea that it brought about.
And who had a supporting role in that movie that was surprisingly good?
I can't think.
It was well, there was two actors. One of them was Riz Ahmed.
Yep.
Who was in Rogue One and
a
bunch of other stuff, and I can't remember who the other guys was. I'm just looking it up right now.
That's okay.
Sisters Brothers. Go to film. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was good in that movie, too.
I liked how he did his, like one thing, something that you don't hear a lot, but seems very period correct, was the way he articulated and enunciated, because he was, like, a more educated, like... East Coast person that had been, like...
He was a Yankee.
Yeah, exactly. They had moved out west. And he had, like, a little, like, finishing school accent.
Yeah. I really liked the fact that I was literally playing Red Dead Redemption earlier that day and then went to go see an awesome Western movie. And I was like, this day is just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just fulfilling all my Western needs.
Yeah, it was cool. And Joaquin Phoenix is always great.
Yeah, he was definitely the standout actor in that movie.
I loved him in...
To be expected.
Did you see him in You Were Never Really Here?
No, I haven't seen that.
It came out last year, but it was an indie movie and it took me a while to see it.
I remember hearing about it. I liked him in Her. Her was really good.
Yeah. You Were Never Really Here is real dark and messed up.
Yeah.
He plays like a hitman, sort of. He's not really like a hitman. He is a guy who like sort of like goes and like rescues. I guess he is a hitman. I don't know. It's confusing, but he's it's pretty dark.
I'm excited for him. I'm not excited for the movie, but I'm excited to see him as the Joker. I think he could do it very well.
I think that movie could be really cool, but there was an interesting article I read. I'm not going to get like too deep into it, but the gist of it was like this movie was already made. It was called The King of Comedy.
Oh,
Did
really?
you see The King of Comedy?
No.
It's an early Scorsese movie. Not that early, like 80s maybe.
Yeah.
With Robert De Niro, and he plays a struggling wannabe stand-up comedian who can't make it because, number one, he's not that funny.
Yeah. And
he tries to launch himself into stardom by kidnapping a late-night talk show host.
Oh, really?
And, like, forcing him to put him on the show.
That's interesting.
You Were Never Really Here came out in 2017. Joaquin Phoenix. It's pretty much like a one-man show. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Really creepy and dark.
I'll look it up.
And I was just looking to see who directed it. Lynn Ramsey. Thought it was someone I was more familiar with than that, but she's done she did that movie We Need to Talk About Kevin. She's done a couple big movies.
That sounds familiar. What was that movie about?
It's Tilda Swinton, John C. Reilly. Tilda Swinton plays, I think she's like a single mother, and her son is starting to show signs of like psychosis and stuff.
That's right. I do remember hearing about that.
Yeah. But yeah.
I think that's about it. I think we went through the list. We gave you some of our opinions. And yeah. Yeah. So where can people find you, Dan?
You can find me on Twitter at Danny_breakdown.
Yeah.
And on Letterboxd at Danny Breakdown.
Sounds good. We can always have you on the show. We can talk about maybe after the Oscars or maybe the Oscar nominations. We can do whatever.
Yeah.
Possibly another show. We'll see.
Yeah.
We're working on it. Yeah. So thanks everybody for listening. You can follow the show Twitter at NobodyCast. You can follow me at Son of a Fitch, SONNAVAFITCH. And enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thanks for being on the show, Dan.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.